They say a woman's heart often seeks a man who mirrors her father's soul.
Her father was a drug kingpin in Detroit. He was respected in the community.
I had a silver spoon, privilege, we were spoiled.
It's only natural that she gravitated to someone who was also in the life.
Once she finds him, the ground beneath her feels unshakable.
He made sure my son had everything he needed. He made sure I didn't want for nothing.
These two become a power couple in the Atlanta scene.
But sometimes, following a familiar path can lead you astray.
Next thing you know, you hear them bust through the front door. Boom, gun drawn. Get on the ground.
Before you know it, the world you trusted comes crashing down.
My ears was ringing like I couldn't hear, I couldn't talk, I couldn't breathe. It was just like so unreal.
May 2005, Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta is known for its rich, diverse culture and entertainment scene. Hollywood might be situated on the West Coast, but Hotlanta is a new place for stars to shine.
Atlanta is one of the largest cities in the South, and it serves as an epicenter for entertainment on the East Coast. It's also known as the Black Mecca. It's an economic hub where Black people can thrive and lead with excellence.
Amidst the Atlanta elite is 23-year-old Brandy Davis.
Brandy moved to Atlanta from Detroit to attend college, but she ended up withdrawing after her first semester. She eventually meets and starts a relationship with an older man, a man named Deron Magic Gatling. Brandy lives with him inside of an Atlanta mansion. And for a 23-year-old, she appears to be doing pretty well for herself.
It's a normal day for Brandy like any other. Her boyfriend Deron is home and they have some friends over.
Then Brandy's world shatters when she learns the police are outside her door.
The way my bedroom was set up, it's like I could look at the front, the side. So I went and I peeked and I'm like, oh. It was the Southeastern Fugitive Task Force. And they had the house around it. So I'm scrambling, I'm putting up stuff, you know, or whatever. And we pulled down attic. He go in the attic.
Police raid and search the house. One by one, people inside the house are taken outside in handcuffs. Everyone except for Brandy's boyfriend, Deron.
Brandy surrenders peacefully to police. She's escorted to the front yard in handcuffs.
And then next thing you know, I hear, pow, pow, pow. My heart dropped because I know that they gunshots, but I don't know where they're coming from. So what I'm thinking is they found Deron and they killed him.
It's the beginning of a long saga for Brandy Davis and her family.
You hear the bullets, choo, choo, and you see the dust flying off like stuff that it was hitting. So I'm like, oh my God, like what is going on? So I dropped to the ground until the gunshot stopped.
Brandy's father, Charles Davis, was a drug kingpin in Detroit.
My dad was from the east side of Detroit. You know, my dad grew up poor. Really, they didn't really have a lot of stuff.
Her father turns to the streets to make money, eventually climbing the ranks to become a boss. So you are talking about a very powerful man who had great means.
But to Brandy, he's just a dad trying to support his family.
I just looked at him like a great father, a great provider. I didn't look at my dad as a drug dealer because it's like, he didn't stay out late like that. He came home and ate dinner with us every day. My dad never spent the night out.
He never really brought anything to the home, but I just think that I knew he didn't have a 9 to 5, and I knew he didn't get up and go to work or punch a clock every day.
For Brandy and her sisters, being around the drug game was a regular part of their lives. They even shared a bond with members of the notorious drug organization BMF.
A lot of these people here are family, you know, we consider it like family because a lot of the guys that was in BMF grew up around the corner from us. So it's like we all come from the same neighborhood.
Family came first for Brandy's dad, who vowed to always be there for his girls, no matter what. And now, his daughter Brandy needs his help the most.
The gunshots didn't stop. It's like, pow. Then I see like dust. Like if it was hitting a house, like the gunshots, I see the little dust from the bricks.
Officers at the scene are just as shocked by the gunfire as Brandy.
Brandy assumed that the police were shooting at Deron, but it turns out that Someone, perhaps an associate of Duran, drove by the house during the arrest and shot at the police officers conducting a raid on the home. It appeared to the officers that they were the target of the drive-by shooting.
Moments after the gunfire subsides, Duran appears in handcuffs, unharmed.
I thought they had killed him, so I'm like, thank you, God, he okay. Like, I was happy with the fact that he was okay.
Officers at the scene tried to locate the drive-by shooter.
The police pursued the individual responsible for the drive-by shooting, but the suspect escaped and was never apprehended during the shooting.
Brandy, Duran, and his crew are all placed under arrest. At the police station, detectives question Brandy about the shooting.
Brandy tells detectives that she has no idea who shot at them at the house. She states that she was completely blindsided by it as well.
Brandy refuses to answer any more of the detectives' questions and uses her one phone call to contact her father.
The officer was like, yeah, we know your daddy, Charles Davis. We know him, we familiar with him. I was like, well, my daddy got to do with something. They was like, yeah, he probably working with Duran.
A nervous Brandy recognizes the situation is far more serious than she ever imagined. May 11th, 2005. Brandy Davis and her boyfriend, Duran Magic Gatling, are arrested following a raid on his opulent Atlanta home.
When police took Brandy and Duran to jail, they searched the home. They located some small amounts of marijuana, but this police raid was not about the marijuana they found. He was selling large amounts of cocaine in St. Louis and Atlanta.
Brandy learned from her father to never speak to the police, so she keeps her mouth shut, as does Duran.
The police that arrested Brandy couldn't prove that the weed in the home belonged to her, so she is able to post bail and is released. Duran, however, is held without bond because his charges are more serious.
After Brandy is released, her family immediately comes to her aid.
My mama flew to Atlanta. When my mama came and got me, it was just like all the emotions just overwhelmed me. I just broke down, you know, and she was just like, it's gonna be okay. Don't worry about it. You're gonna be fine. We're gonna pack your stuff up. Your daddy told me bring your home.
As Brandy and her mother head back to Detroit, Brandy opens up about the life she's been living, one that closely resembles her mother's own. Since Brandy grew up with a father who provided her with everything she desired, she wanted to meet a man who would do the same.
My dad really, to me, was my definition of what I want my husband to be. You know, so when I start dating men, I start looking at attributes and things that my dad had in him and comparing it to the guys that I was dating.
After high school, Brandy moves to Atlanta for college and meets up with some familiar friends.
My friend Pig, he from Detroit, we was gonna go to Magic City. And he was like, hey, we gotta go pick up my friend.
The friend is Duran Magic Gatling.
We picked him up and we end up going to Magic City. We had our little small conversation or whatever, and at the end of the night, we end up exchanging numbers.
Despite their 12-year age difference, the two instantly fell for one another. They launched into an intense romance and quickly became an it couple in Atlanta.
They were moving in power circles, and he exposed her to things she had never seen before.
I'm like, oh my God, it's like everybody in Atlanta back then, like the ball players, the rappers, the celebrities, everybody moved around in the same circles, the same clubs.
The relationship seems mostly positive at first. Like her father, Duran gives her everything she could ever want. But that's because, like her father, Duran is a drug dealer.
I liked it because he was his own boss. He had his own crew, he had his own motion, he did his own thing.
Brandy's boyfriend Duran also grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, but always provided for his family.
Like any typical dude coming from where they came from, they did what they had to do to survive and take care of their families.
Though Duran's occupation might intimidate some, Brandy was born into this life, and she simply saw it as a normal part of her reality.
He knew if he needed me, I'ma ride with him, and I knew it was vice versa. That's what I appreciated the most about us, because he was the type of guy that if he was with you or he dealt with you, he want to see you at your best. He gonna do whatever he can to help elevate you for you to be at your full potential.
He had a heart of gold, and His aura is just like, people love to be around him. Magic will give you the shirt off his back. You couldn't be sitting around Magic and say, oh, I'm stressed out about this. You know, wasn't no stress. We're gonna take care of that. And that's just the type of man he was.
After dating for a while, Deron buys a luxury home in Atlanta and moves Brandy in, solidifying their life together. Brandy enjoys the money that comes from being with Deron.
She liked the fast money. She liked the certain way of living.
But their lifestyle catches up to them both.
I remember one time we had came in, we was at his house, and I hear them, they like, you see that car outside?
Deron tells a friend that he thinks detectives are staking out his home.
They tripping like it's like a suspicious car that's been in the neighborhood. So in their mind, they thinking it's like the police. So I'm like, oh, they got the police watching the house.
Then one day, their lives are changed forever.
He called me, and I could tell it was a little weird on the telephone. Like, man, go check outside and see if you see something. So I look through the windows. I'm like, nah. He was like, okay, I'm gonna call you and have you come meet me in a minute, but just make sure nobody following you. And when he pulled up in the parking lot, he got this concerned look on his face. He like, man, the indictment just came out. He was on the road coming to Atlanta. The feds had raided his house in St. Louis, but he wasn't there.
Deron tells Brandy that the police are looking for him, but he has no intentions of turning himself in.
Deron tells Brandy that he's not going to jail and he's going on the run. And Brandy goes along with it. But she soon learns some news that will completely change her life.
To take me everywhere she went. So when she was in her little prime as a teenager, like when she used to go outside and go places, my mom was like, you better take your sister. I'd be on the back of her bike. Even when they used to go try to meet their little guy friends or whatever in the neighborhood, I used to have to go. And the boys in the neighborhood hated me. Like, they couldn't stand me because I was always trying to fight them. I was a tomboy. I'm trying to fight them. I'm talking crap to them. So it's like, oh my God, your little sister is so bad. Like, I went through that little rebellious, little bad stage.
In September 2004, 22-year-old Brandy Davis is at a tremendous crossroads in her life. Her beloved boyfriend, Deron, has just been indicted for selling drugs.
He was like, you know, I'm indicted. I'm looking at 20 years. I ain't about to turn myself in. So that's the day he decided that he was gonna go on a run.
Deron is now a fugitive of the law, and Brandy knows she has to step up for her man.
I try to make it to where I surrounded him with people that'd be helpful to him.
While laying low in California, Deron manages to stay under the radar, evading police capture.
My aunt, she'll go over there and cook for him. She'll go pay the bills for him. Anything that he needed her to do for him, she gonna do it for him. And he kind of kept a low profile like that for a minute. But what people don't understand is when you on a run, it costs money. You spending money, but you ain't making no money. You know, and he got to the point, I think, with frustration because people owe him money on the streets.
But Brandy isn't about to let her man go down like that.
I went out above and beyond out my way to protect him so much that I would, like, when he needed money, I'll grab money from his people. I'll meet them. We had so much money on us that our rule was whoever drive, the other one better sleep.
After several months of running from the law, Brandy receives news that grounds her.
And that's when I really was like, oh, Lord, like, damn, he on a run, I'm pregnant. You know, we had a conversation about it. And, you know, at first he was a little concerned, like, you really want to have a baby and I'm on a run.
With the possibility of going to prison hanging over their heads, Deron and Brandy have some tough choices to make.
We had a realistic conversation about it. And, you know, I had to reassure him. I talked to my dad about it, like, I'm pregnant. And he was like, listen, tell him you good. Like, regardless of what, we riding all this out together, like, we family. And that's what made me be like, okay, I'm gonna keep my baby.
Against Brandy's wishes, Deron starts to visit her in Atlanta more frequently after learning she is pregnant.
Traveling while on the run from police is a risky decision. Not to mention, it heightens stress. It just shows how much he cared for her.
And I think we all got a gift or intuition that we have within us that warns us about things, or we have funny feelings about stuff to warn us or prepare us for stuff that's gonna come. And he came to Atlanta, but I ain't want him to come.
Brandy was on high alert.
I'm 3 months pregnant. When he came home, He had a whole bunch of people with him, like all his friends, everybody was staying at my house. They went out. He came home like about 5 o'clock in the morning. Got in the bed, we slept, whatever. We wake up to boom, 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 boom. He just busted through the door like, the police at the door, police outside.
What Brandy didn't know is that police have been following her every move and keeping tabs on who was at the house.
You hear them bust through the front door, boom, gun drawn. Get on the ground. And I'm like, I'm pregnant. I'm like, y'all don't gotta throw me on the ground, I'm pregnant.
After 9 months of being on the run, Deron is finally captured.
Deron was facing serious federal charges that carried a potential sentence of over 20 years.
I care about him, I was worried about him, and Deron had really bad asthma. And he got sick a couple times, so his health was a concern as well.
While awaiting Deron's trial, Brandy gives birth to their child, a beautiful boy whom she names DeBron.
I made a promise to him, even before he even got arrested, like no matter what happened, I was gonna make sure that he had a relationship with his son. I'm gonna always make sure y'all relationship is close, even though you in jail.
When Deron's case goes to court, Brandy doesn't attend the trial. It's too much for her to handle.
When he got sentenced, he called me and he was like, man, they sentenced me to 19.5 years. And I'm like, damn, he ain't gonna come home to my baby about to go to college. So I just made it in my mind like, hey, it is what it is, you know? We gotta deal with the cards that was dealt to us, you know, but we gonna figure it out and we gonna try to make it out to be the best it can be.
Even while serving his time, Deron proves to Brandy that he's a supportive father.
He made sure I got money every month. Even from prison, he ain't miss a beat. He made sure my son had everything he needed. He gave me a sufficient amount of money that I could stretch it and make it work.
I think that it probably made her stronger and opened her eyes to a lot of things, more so having to be a single mother and being more independent. So I think that grew her up a lot.
Brandy was making progress and hitting her stride. But 1 year after being on the run for 9 months, Deron Magic Gatling is arrested on federal drug charges. With a newborn baby and mounting legal trouble, Deron and Brandy face a devastating downfall.
Now you have to start another chapter with preparing yourself with jail time and then, you know, having the baby, him not being there.
Deron is sentenced to 19.5 years after accepting a plea deal. Despite his circumstances, he stays committed to being a good father while serving his time. But he faces many challenges.
There was only so much he could do being behind those walls, you know, but he had a good support system.
Aside from his lengthy sentence, Deron's health is a major concern. He suffers from devastating asthma attacks.
I've been with him when he had asthma attacks, so I see how the panic and the fear, how he used to be when he couldn't breathe. It's a traumatic experience for you to watch somebody go through that too. His health was a concern for me.
Not long after Deron starts his prison sentence, Brandy gets a distressing call.
His sister called me, Trina. She was on the phone crying and screaming and said he had died. My ears was ringing like I couldn't hear. It was just like this buzzing in my ears. I couldn't talk. I couldn't breathe.
This was a profound loss, not only to Brandy, but also for Deron's family, as he was the patriarch and the provider for their family, leaving a serious void in their lives.
He ain't deserve to be treated like that. And I just hate that he died like that. He didn't have nobody in here to take care of him. So I just thought like he just died alone in that dirty ass prison by himself. And I just wonder what he was thinking, how he was feeling. And it's just not fair.
Brandy now must raise her son without his father.
When you go through certain hurt and pain, my heart just got a little tough. I kind of went through a depression a little bit. I kind of was just in a sunken place. And at some time, I couldn't even hold my baby.
She leans on her family in Detroit to get her through the tough times.
I used to just feel so guilty and so bad. And it had to take my mom and be like, yo, you need to snap out of whatever you in because you got a baby that needs you. She supported me 1,000%, like, every step of the way. Both of my parents did. But a light switch just flicked on, like, what am I gonna do now?
As time passes, Brandy realizes that she must restart her life to provide for her young son.
Now he was gone. So I think that kind of took her into that mode. You know, now I got to support me and my son, and she did what she knew best, and that was hustle.
One thing about me, when I feel like my back is against the wall, I'm gonna figure something out. And that's where I was at mentally. Around that time, a person that I knew kind of like just randomly popped back in my life.
His name is Justin J.T. Turner, a friend from Chicago.
We hung out before, prior, you know, as a group. One day he just called me randomly, like, yo, what's up? I took him to hang out. I think he was kind of paying attention to analyzing how significant I am in my city, or the people that I roll with, or the type of people I have around me.
JT was captivated by Brandy and presented her with an intriguing proposition.
He called like, yo, I'm having my people coming down there, I'm gonna lead something for you. You think you can help me out? And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm the type of person that you try to put me up to a challenge, I'm gonna show your ass what it do. He had dropped off a duffel bag with like 30 kilos of cocaine.
When Brandy was with Duran, she never got involved in the drug game. But with a baby to raise, she needed a way to make money.
I'm like, all right, I'm about to get rid of this. I'm gonna show his ass what I could do. And I called up a couple of my people, and I gave them the stuff, and I had his money back in probably like 3 days. Like, I called him like, come get your money. You could tell he was like, what the hell? All his money was there. So after that, it kind of opened up a window, an opportunity for him. He used me as a way for him to make some more money in another city.
Brandy starts trafficking drugs for JT in Detroit, and their relationship quickly turns romantic.
Those trips became frequent. I get the drugs, I separate the drugs, and I drop them off individually to the people who was helping sell the drugs for me.
Brandy keeps her family in the dark about her new man and newfound career.
I didn't tell my dad, but my mama's so damn nosy, and she just know her kids so good. She knew I was on some bull. Once my daddy got whiffed of it, he had a conversation with me, and he was like, what is you doing? Like, you ain't about to be out here doing that. Like, I'll do it. You always know I ain't never want you to be part of no lifestyle like that or do nothing like that that can cost you your freedom.
But Brandy doesn't listen.
I wasn't doing that but giving it to my people, and when they was done, I collected the money from them and I sent it back to Chicago. So to me, it wasn't a big deal because I wasn't meeting strangers or I wasn't dealing with people on the street.
Brandy's father steps in and takes an active role to keep an eye on his daughter. He knows all too well what the drug life entails. Now it really has become a family business.
Soon, the operation gets so big that JT wants to recruit more workers in Detroit.
I had a girlfriend that I attended school with down here. She was going through some financial difficulties. I'm not looking at her as being involved in what I'm doing. I'm trying to introduce him to some of his friends. Like, you meet you a good friend, you can hang out, get a couple dollars or whatever you do.
But her friend, Tracy Evans, is interested in more. She wants in on the action. And JT agrees to give her a shot.
I'm like, hell no. I told her and him, like, I don't think that's a good idea. And I told her out my mouth, when you ride like that, you ride with your life. So if you're okay with riding with your life on the line like that, that's on you, but I don't want to have nothing to do with that.
Tracy doesn't come from the streets, nor does her family. This was a new world she was entering in.
And I tried to explain that to her, but she insisted. She was very persistent. He made the decision to start letting her drive.
It's a decision that soon threatens the entire operation. By 2008, Brandy Davis and her new boyfriend, Justin J.T. Turner, built a thriving drug operation, efficiently transporting large quantities from Chicago to Detroit.
Brandy had a new role and she owned it. She just wasn't a girlfriend, she was a player in the game. JT was an opportunist and he saw Brandy's potential and knew her family had connections and he took advantage of that.
The business is growing so fast that they expand the operation and recruit new players to the team. At first, the partnership works without a flaw.
I used to follow her in my car. Sometimes I had my son in the back seat. Sometimes it's like $1 million in that car that she's driving, you know? I'm like, man, I ain't about to, man, $1 million, I don't want to be responsible for this. Like, I'm gonna follow her ass, so if something was to happen, I'll speed past the police, they put me over, I can I'll take the traffic citation or whatever.
Time and time again, Brandy, Justin, and Tracy evade the law by working together.
We loaded the car up with the drugs. Car was parked, ready to go when we left. She was gonna drive the car with the drugs. Me and JT was gonna be in my car. We was gonna follow her home, like we always do.
But on one business trip, Tracy decides to work solo.
This particular time, she left without us. And she didn't tell me until she was already on the road. Talking about she had to hurry up and get back because she had to be at school. She was in college. So when she called me, I'm like, you left? She's like, yeah, I'm good. I just gotta be at school. Just call me when y'all get here.
Brandy encourages JT to stop Tracy from operating on her own and return to Detroit.
I told him, like, let's just go back tomorrow. Like, let's just leave them. Let's chill and just leave them out. He like, nah, let's just hurry up so we could get everybody their stuff. That way we could have the weekend free. I just felt uneasy. I don't know what it was. I just had a very uneasy feeling.
JT and Brandy go to meet Tracy at her home to pick up the package.
I pull in front of her house. She come out to the car. She get in the car, and we talking. And I tell her, like, today the last day. So I don't like you driving. Like, it's too much. Like, I don't feel comfortable.
Tracy agrees with Brandy.
So after that, we smoked some weed in the car. She was like, love you. And I was like, love you too. I don't know where all these police came from. It's just like they swarmed the car, yanked me out the car, threw me on the ground, handcuffed me.
Brandy is arrested in a sting operation, along with Justin and Tracy. At the police station, detectives sit Brandy down in an interrogation room for a round of tough questions.
Brandy is smart. She doesn't talk to police without a lawyer present. So Brandy lawyers up, but her problem doesn't go away.
When Brandy's attorney talks to police, she gets a full understanding of what detectives have on her.
When I went to the office, it's like, I want to have you watch something. He said, you're going to be pissed. So I'm just telling you just to calm down because I'm going to show you. And it was video. And the video was her getting pulled over by the police at the actual traffic stop.
In the police footage, Tracy gives up Brandy almost instantly.
Tracy was traveling on I-94, which is a prime spot for trafficking across state lines. So the Highway Patrol is really vigilant. Tracy was doing 77 in a 70 zone and was pulled over.
Police find 30 kilos of cocaine in Tracy's car.
They talking to her. Oh, this is a lot of drugs. The whole conversation, she's never said nothing about JT. She placed all the blame on me. Like, oh, I get the drugs from Brandy. Then she was like, you see all them drugs? You know what Brandy would do to me? Like, she just making me out to these people like I'm some big-ass, ruthless-ass chick.
After seeing the video, Brandy knows she's in deep trouble.
She set me up. She got me arrested. JT ended up getting out. They didn't even charge him at first. And what's crazy was they kept asking her and questioning about him, and she wouldn't say nothing about him. She just say everything about me.
A short time later, Brandy learns how JT was able to avoid charges.
The feds eventually catch up with JT, indicting him on drug conspiracy charges in Chicago, tied to high-ranking members of a drug cartel. In an effort to reduce his sentence, JT cooperates with authorities and ultimately implicates Brandy's father, Charles Davis.
Now, Brandy's father is facing a lengthy prison sentence.
When my father caught his case, my daddy was 65 years old. He's not no young guy. I know spring chicken. And I just felt like I was the reason, or I helped destroy my family.
JT and Tracy eventually turned on Brandy, making it look like she was the leader of the operation and not JT. The traffic stop video was damaging, with Tracy only naming her. So Brandy was in a tough position. She was literally caught red-handed.
Brandy opts to take a plea rather than go to trial and is sentenced to 10 years in prison.
We went through that whole ordeal, as far as court and things like that. And that's when Brandy just decided, like, trying to protect other people that were involved and, you know, the family, our dad and everything else. So she just decided, I'm just gonna plea out.
After she's sentenced, her father also takes a plea deal and receives 8 years.
Like when I was in jail, I started going back and thinking about stuff, and it was signs. I seen signs. But the weed, the money, the lifestyle blinded and clouded my judgment.
But as low as Brandy felt in that moment, little did she know, her problems were about to get even worse. After serving 3 years of his sentence, Brandy's father is released from prison. But sadly, he doesn't have much time left to be with his wife and daughters.
My dad ended up coming home in February of 2015. They had just implemented video visits. Video visits, you pay for them, like the prisoner pay for them and set it up. Sort of like, it's like a Zoom.
But the strong father figure Brandy remembers is no more.
Prison aged him a lot. And my dad, he had like a different little look in his eyes. And he looked at me, he was like, "You so pretty, what's your name?" Like, what's my name? Like, you don't know who I am? I'm like, it's me. My guy, like my favorite person in the world, like my ace boom coon, like my road dog, like my dog, like he don't know me, like my daddy don't know who I am. It broke me.
After speaking to her father, Brandy's mother has more bad news to share.
She was like, "Daddy not doing good." She's like, "Nurses been here. His kidneys and stuff is failing. And I don't think Daddy got much longer to be here."
Brandy is shattered by the news. And in August of 2015, with only a year left on her sentence, Brandy speaks to her father for the last time on a video call.
He was just like laid there. His mouth was like gapped open. His eyes was like halfway open. It's just like, damn, it looked like he was dead. And I lost my mind. So I was just like, oh my God. Like, I was like wailing. Like I could just hear him. I couldn't control it. And once I gathered myself together, I just started talking to him and I was just apologizing. You know, I told him I was sorry. I didn't need for stuff to happen like this. I was just sorry. You know, and that I loved him. And tears started rolling down his eyes. And he took his last breaths. Like that fast. And my mom, like after that was over, she was like, "Your daddy waited for you." And he died like 8 minutes into my visit.
It's a moment that will stay with Brandy forever.
I don't wish that on nobody. At all. This is like one of the worst days of my life. And I still feel guilty to this day. And I carry that burden. And I hold on to the pain. So I never forget. And it make me never want to make the decisions that I made in my life again.
A year after her father passes, Brandy is released from prison with a new lease on life.
Everybody look at me, "Oh, you're doing good, yeah." Ooh, but they don't know what I go through at night when I'm in the bed by myself and I think about things and I cry to myself. They don't understand.
She was incarcerated from the time her son was 3 until he turned 11, missing his most formative years and countless milestones. Adding to the pain, she endured the betrayal of her boyfriend and her close friend. It's an immense weight to bear.
Brandy now spends her time cheering for her son, DeBron, who plays football for a Division I program.
I got so much admiration and respect for him because he could have been a kid that hated me. He could have had animosity towards me, but instead he turned his pain into a purpose. So all the negative energy he was feeling or whatever he was going through as a child, with the experiences that he went through in life, he put into football. It just makes it even better.
When Brandy isn't spending time with her family, she dedicates her time to warning others about the dangers of drug dealing and empowering young women to recognize their self-worth.
I think that's just like everything I've been through in life. It's like it just humbled me so much. Like money come and go, people come and go, but when you go through your life, the only people that's there is your family.
They shared a home together. They actually took care of each other.
He proposed, they had children.
She devoted herself to him.
But what if that devotion comes at an unspeakable cost?
Secrets have a way of eating at you on the inside.
He said, let's do this. Let's show him what we're made of.
She's in a space where, do I support him?
When your man's rage spirals out of control, will you spiral down with him?
When you put all that pressure together, it's hard to resist that.
She did what she thought was necessary.
This is one of the ugliest crimes we've ever seen. The devil was in him to kill and destroy.
She went head on, and she went all in.
August 19th, 2003. It's a sweltering summer day in DeKalb County, Georgia.
So DeKalb County is East Atlanta, a suburban area turned urban.
A lot of really small communities, highly residential.
There's a range of situations. You have wealthy and well-to-do politicians, the history of Black excellence, all the way down to crime, extreme poverty, and people who are really desperate to live day to day.
That afternoon, 52-year-old Dwayne Cowan is making his own desperate visit to the DeKalb County Police Station.
He's looking for his son, Kareem. He hadn't been to school and he hadn't been to work, so it kind of raised some alarms.
His son is 20 years old, and he hadn't heard from his son in a couple of days. He's not replying to text messages, he's not replying to phone calls, and he's not at home. That's not like him, to be completely out of touch.
When we think about young Black men in particular, there's so many things that they are faced with. So the first thing as parents is thought about, were they involved in a situation that they couldn't get out of? Are they in jail? Are they hurt?
In the pit of his stomach, he's feeling that something is off.
As a 20-year-old college student, Kareem Cowan was wise beyond his years.
Kareem was a pretty stand-up guy. People looked up to him, people sought him for advice.
Kareem was a respectable young man. Our daughter had a crush on him. Him and our sons, they was best of friends.
He was well-spoken, and, his mama was a professor at one of the colleges, and his daddy was an entrepreneur.
Kareem was an avid learner. He was involved with 2 different colleges. He even worked for some of the local universities.
In addition to Kareem's passion for academics, he was also dedicated to his faith.
He was honoring his family's tradition of practicing Islam.
In that particular faith, it requires a lot of discipline, but he was also very much integrating principles like integrity, honesty, truth. These are all things that comes with studying the Quran and the Muslim faith, and Kareem was right there in it.
I think at that age, trying to figure out where you are spiritually is tough because you're moving from your parents telling you what spirituality means to you figuring out what spirituality is. And you don't just figure it out in a year, you figure it out over a lifetime. So he was clearly at the beginning of that journey.
But would Kareem ever complete his journey to enlightenment? As his worried father speaks with police, they're beginning to fear the worst.
He was not the type of young man to just up and disappear.
Unfortunately, though, there's not much police can do at this time.
Kareem is an adult, so a lot of times when our adult children are missing, they're not necessarily missing, they're just living their life.
Police submitted the missing persons report. Other than that, for the family, it was just a waiting game.
Kareem's family decides to conduct their own search for the missing 20-year-old.
Kareem's family, they were driving around looking for him. They knocked on doors. They did everything that they could do to find out what happened to him.
We found out that Kareem, he was missing. His brother and his dad was looking for him and came to our house, asked me, have we seen Kareem? And I said, no. And he asked my boys, Frederick and Howard, have you seen Kareem, you know? I said, no, man, nobody's seen him.
The next day, a grisly discovery turns the case on its head.
So this was around 4 p.m. on August 20th, over 48 hours since Kareem's family had last heard from him.
A neighbor to that neighborhood around Columbia Elementary School was just simply walking his dog, and he smelled something really bad. His dog was barking, and he really didn't know what to do.
The dog is going crazy, and he goes and he investigates really where the smell is coming from.
The smell leads him into a wooded area behind the school.
When he went into that wooded area, he was horrified by what he saw.
He saw a body lying there.
Shocked and horrified, the man dials 911. DeKalb County Police are on the scene within minutes.
The body was identified as a black male in his late teens or early 20s. He was naked, but he had like a sheet partially covering them.
There were no clothes, no items, nothing else around him.
They immediately noticed how bad he was beaten. They noticed a bruise across his chest. He had a swollen eye, a broken nose, contusions on his head, his face.
He also had burn marks to his groin area.
This is one of the ugliest crimes we've ever seen.
Whoever did this to him wanted him to suffer.
Upon further inspection of the area, it's clear whoever committed this crime didn't commit it here.
There was no blood anywhere around the scene. The only thing that was there was the body. And so they kind of draw the conclusion that the beating, the suffering, the torturing happened elsewhere, and this person was dropped off here.
After pulling up the database of recent missing persons, it doesn't take long for homicide detectives to identify the victim as 20-year-old Kareem Cowan.
They found that this report was placed by Dwayne Cowan, Kareem's father, and that the body matched the description that Dwayne gave.
However, countless questions still remain.
Kareem's community loved him. He wasn't ever believed to be in anything nefarious. The question was, why would someone commit such a heinous act?
Who would do something like this? You know, why such brutality? You know, it was so inhumane.
Police have to wonder, are they looking at multiple killers in this case?
Just the sheer amount of bruises and wounds alone showed that there may have been more than one person involved in his murder.
As night falls on DeKalb County, police begin scouring the area for any trace of the person or persons responsible.
The death is definitely a ripple effect. It definitely did not just affect Kareem and his family. It affected the entire community.
It hurt me. I can imagine how his mom and dad felt, his whole entire family. Because I wouldn't want that to happen to one of our kids or nobody else's kids in our neighborhood.
That evening doesn't produce any solid leads. But the next morning, detectives receive their first break in the case.
So, a tip comes in.
The streets begin talking.
Kareem was having beef with someone, and that man's name was Desmond Carr.
On August 21st, 2003, DeKalb County Police are investigating the brutal murder of Kareem Cowan.
Kareem was a 20-year-old college student focused on his faith journey.
You can see his desire for knowledge and his desire to keep growing as an individual, not just in education, but his religious beliefs.
Kareem's body was found bruised and beaten.
This was somebody that was tortured severely.
The forensics of the situation paint a really grim picture. And one of the most horrific things about it is that he was found behind a school. Thank God a child didn't find the body.
Investigators are determined to find out who committed this unthinkable crime and why. They release their findings to the local news media to see if anyone will come forward with information. And it quickly pays off.
There was a tip to the investigating police officers about who may have been involved in Kareem's death.
Kareem was having beef with someone, and that man's name was Desmond Carr.
Desmond lived in the exact same neighborhood as Kareem and his family.
The tipster explains that Kareem and Desmond were fighting over another neighborhood girl, Kareem's girlfriend, Whitney Reed.
Desmond was very interested in having a sexual relationship with Kareem's girlfriend and didn't mind if Kareem and his girlfriend kept their romantic relationship as long as he was able to get what he wanted. But Kareem was not in agreement with that.
Desmond started to kind of figure out what he can do to get back at Kareem because of his refusal to allow Whitney to hang around him. He comes up with this idea that, oh, you know what, I can steal this car.
A week before Kareem's murder, Desmond carried out his plan.
Kareem had a Ford, and Desmond Carr had actually stolen Kareem's vehicle out of his driveway. Apparently, Desmond had a universal key for Ford cars.
Their daddy worked at Ford, and he had master keys that he had when he was working with Ford, moved the Ford cars in the assembly lines.
Desmond drove it into Columbia Elementary's parking lot.
It's the same location where Kareem's body was later found.
He took it over to the same school area, broke out a window, damaged a couple of tires, and left it there.
When detectives check their database, the tipster story checks out.
They went ahead and looked in their database to see if there were any missing car reports, and there actually was. Kareem had reported his vehicle stolen.
The vehicle was eventually retrieved and no charges were ever filed.
But had Desmond's beef with Kareem escalated to murder?
When you do something as egregious as just steal someone's car, bust the windows out and put it in a parking lot, that is to say that there's something fueling this relationship between the two.
Detectives track down Desmond Carr and bring him into the station for questioning.
When Desmond is asked about stealing Kareem's cars, the first time he says no.
But when faced with the tipster's account, Desmond caves.
So after hearing that information, he went ahead and confessed. If you're lying about this, what else could you be lying about, right?
Desmond admitted that he was the one that stole Kareem's car.
Desmond insists it was all in good fun.
He said that he only stole the car to mess with Kareem.
He was just playing a joke on him.
He said that Kareem knew that it was him, he told him where the car was, and that it was nothing to be really serious about.
Kareem did call the police, which is on record. The police came out, and he decided not to press charges because he had his car, and he just didn't want the drama.
Desmond admits that there had been some friction between him and Kareem over Kareem's girlfriend, Whitney, but downplays it as no big deal.
He was trying to see Whitney, and Kareem didn't like it.
Desmond pretty much lays it out that she wants to hang around him, and he perceived that Kareem was denying her for that or getting in the way of that.
He was, as they refer to as, crabbing the hoe, which means that he wasn't willing to share Whitney with Desmond.
He felt like Kareem was wrong for trying to control her.
But Desmond insists he would never harm his friend.
He definitely made sure that they knew that he had nothing to do with the murder.
Desmond says that the night that Kareem went missing, he was at home with his family.
Desmond says his sister, LaShondra, and her fiancé, Joseph, can confirm his whereabouts.
He lived with them and their 2 children. When police contacted the couple, they confirmed what Desmond had claimed.
He had an alibi, so having nothing else, the police had to let him go.
But soon, detectives will learn that LaShondra Carr and Joseph Rayford can't be trusted, and that there is much more to this twisted story than they ever could have imagined.
Small things escalated into serious things very quickly.
That was a family that was acting like the mob.
For Kareem to be a practicing Muslim, waking up at 5 in the morning to pray and getting out of class to do his prayer in the middle of the day, all of these things that he has to put into his college schedule on top of playing sports and having friends. I think that it was super admirable for Kareem to be even exploring this as a college student, because we're young, we want to go party, we want to hang out with peers, and none of our peers are considering spiritual enlightenment.
In August of 2003, DeKalb County investigators have found themselves back at square one in their investigation of 20-year-old Kareem Cowan's murder.
The initial suspect, Desmond Carr, seemed to have an alibi for the night of the murder.
Desmond's sister, LaShondra Carr, and her fiancé, Joseph Rayford, confirmed Desmond was home with them that night. But the next morning, a young woman comes forward that will challenge the Carr family's account.
Her name is Zuri Wilson, and she's a neighbor of Kareem's.
Zuri says the night of August 17th, there was a group of individuals at Kareem's house.
She says that everyone was arguing against Kareem and upset with him. It was alarming, and it definitely disturbed her.
Investigators asked if she can identify anybody that was in that group.
Zuri says she recognized LaShondra Carr and her 2 brothers, Desmond and Unri, along with LaShondra's fiancé, Joseph Rayford.
This was late at night, around midnight. Kareem's parents were fast asleep.
Zuri tells detectives she didn't stick around to see what happened. But after hearing about Kareem's murder, she couldn't help but wonder if the Carrs had something to do with it.
After thinking about it, Zuri wondered if this particular argument had something to do with Kareem's death.
With Zuri's statement in tow, detectives want to speak with Desmond Carr again, as soon as possible, along with the other members of the Carr family.
They pay a visit to the Carr home, which is just down the street from Kareem's place.
Joe Rayford answers the door, and he lets the detectives know that only he and his fiancée are there with their 2 kids.
Seconds later, LaShondra Carr appears.
Detectives are surprised to see that LaShondra is pregnant.
She certainly doesn't come off as the type of person that would be involved in a brutal homicide.
Detectives inform the couple that they would like for them to come back to the station to answer some questions regarding Kareem Cowan's murder.
Joseph said that Kareem was a friend of the family.
Joseph even goes as far as to say is that they were really good friends and had been for a while, and they were really saddened by Kareem's death.
The couple were confused about why police wanted to speak to them again about this.
Regardless, Joseph and LaShondra agreed to cooperate.
They arranged some childcare for their children, and they come to the station for more questioning.
Investigators sit down with Joseph first, and right away he doubles down on the story he was spinning at the house.
Joseph is projecting remorse about what has happened to Kareem, that he heard about it on the news, and, that it was really unfortunate, but he doesn't know anything about what took place.
That's when detectives reveal the information they've learned from Zuri Wilson.
The detectives let him know, we have an eyewitness account that said that we saw you arguing with Kareem on the night of the murder.
He goes quiet. He freezes up.
Joseph still swears he's innocent, but admits he hadn't told detectives everything he knew about that night.
He admits that they had gotten into an argument with Kareem that night, and it had to do with the beef between him and Desmond, but says they eventually parted ways.
Joseph says that later that night, he and LaShundra heard a commotion down the street.
Joseph stated that they got up and decided to go outside to see what the commotion was about, and he observed some of the guys in the neighborhood who was actually hitting Kareem.
He named two people, Ponyboy and Jeter, as the individuals who were arguing with Kareem. Before he went back inside, he saw the guys throw Kareem on the back of a truck.
Joseph says he and LaShundra didn't want to get involved.
Joseph said that he just went back inside, closed the door. He and LaShundra watched TV.
It seems to me that this is a community where people don't intercede. The attitude is that I'm not going to get involved because getting involved doesn't benefit me in any way and it could end up harming me. I'm going to just back off and let people handle their own business.
But if Ponyboy and Jeter are behind Kareem Cowan's murder, detectives need to find out who they really are.
Unfortunately, Joseph doesn't know their names or even where they live.
Hitting a dead end with Joseph, detectives decide to turn to LaShundra Carr. Will she back up her man's account of that night?
Secrets have a way of eating at you on the inside. And no matter how much you try to hide that or hold that secret, it's gonna come out.
August 2003, DeKalb County, Georgia. Detectives investigating the ruthless murder of 20-year-old Kareem Cowan have two suspects in custody. 23-year-old Joseph Rayford and his pregnant fiancée, 22-year-old LaShundra Carr.
A witness saw the couple arguing with Kareem on the night of the murder. But Joseph claimed that after that, Kareem got into another altercation with two men from the neighborhood.
Joseph tells police that Ponyboy and Jeter are the ones they should be looking for.
But will LaShundra confirm her man's account?
When detectives first met LaShundra, they didn't get the feeling that she was a criminal type. She was a mother, she was pregnant at this point, and she was very kind of mild-mannered, soft-spoken, meek.
To LaShundra Shanae Carr, family was everything.
She had two younger brothers, Desmond and Henri, who she was very close to.
The three of them shared a home together. They actually took care of each other.
And it was through her brothers that LaShundra met the man who would change her life forever, Joseph Rayford.
When LaShundra meets Joseph Rayford, she was smitten. She was very impressed with how handsome he was and just overtaken by his charm. And it was a huge plus that he got along with her two brothers.
They had so many things in common, and after that, it wasn't long until they were a couple.
Eventually, Joseph Rayford moved into the house with LaShundra and her brothers, which is a huge step. I mean, because now he enters into, a very sacred space for LaShundra, and he's now become a part of her family.
She felt safe with him. She could trust him. And she wanted him to trust her the same way. And so she devoted herself to him.
He proposed, they had children, and they were really trying to build a family together.
And their family was about to get even bigger.
She got surprised with some very exciting news. Her and Joseph were pregnant with twins.
I imagine that for her, she's having this fairy tale life. I now have my family. She has the man that she loves, and for her, it's a dream come true.
But now, the young mother is at risk of losing everything.
She's a suspect in the murder case. Detectives have eyewitness testimony of her arguing with the victim on the night he was killed.
Detectives tell her what the eyewitness told them.
Secrets have a way of eating at you on the inside. And no matter how much you try to hide that, hold that secret, it's gonna come out.
I think at that point she probably felt very threatened, and she was worried about, maybe I could go to jail for this.
She knew she had to come clean, and she agreed to tell them everything.
LaShundra explains that on the night of the 17th, she and her fiancé Joseph were at their house watching TV.
She said she put the babies to bed, the brothers were hanging out, and everything was fine.
But around 11:30 p.m., Desmond and Henri burst into the living room.
Desmond said the word on the street was that Kareem was talking smack about his family.
He claimed he heard this from Kareem's girlfriend, Whitney.
According to Desmond, he was going crazy. He was saying all kinds of things. He threatened to kill Desmond for stealing his car.
But that's not all.
Desmond had actually heard that Kareem allegedly had planned to kill their whole family, including Joseph and LaShundra's 2 children.
Now, this kind of threw detectives for a loop because this does not at all reflect the character of the man that they had been investigating.
It doesn't match what they know about Kareem. It doesn't match his personality.
LaShundra says her fiancé Joseph was livid.
Joe let LaShundra know that he would not let Kareem get away with threatening his family.
He wanted Kareem to pay for that, and Joseph expected LaShundra to be all in for whatever went down.
Joseph had a reputation in the community. He was the guy that you did not press his buttons. You did not want to mess with him.
Joseph, he was supposed to be this bad guy. Doing things, having his word, pushing it. So Shanae, she listened a lot to Joe, but Joe was the one that, let's take it to the next level. Let's do this. Let's show him what we're made of.
Joe told LaShundra that they were going to go to Kareem's house and handle it right now.
LaShundra is in a difficult situation. She obviously is a mother, and she understands that, what has been said towards her family is wrong. And so she's in a space where, do I support him?
When you put all that emotion together, you put all of that pressure together, and then you have this authority figure saying, you better back me up. It's hard to imagine that someone would be able to resist that.
Joe opened the door and said, let's go, and LaShundra followed.
But LaShundra says she never could have imagined the horror that would later ensue.
She never expected for things to get so out of hand.
What they did to this man, no one deserves.
In August of 2003, DeKalb County detectives are interrogating 22-year-old pregnant mother LaShundra Carr about her involvement in the heinous murder of 20-year-old Kareem Cowan.
LaShundra admits that after hearing the allegations of threats Kareem had made to her family, her fiancé Joseph wanted to punish Kareem.
Joseph then says, we're going right now. And so he opens the door. He tells LaShundra, let's go. She told detectives that she felt like she had no choice but to go with him.
Once Joseph decided that that was the plan, she followed suit along with Desmond and Henri, her brothers, and they all went over.
When they got down to Kareem's house, they found him outside smoking a cigarette.
He seemed surprised to see them pull up, and Joe confronts him about all of these things that he allegedly said about threatening his family.
So Joe starts going off, and Kareem is pretty confused about whatever Joe is talking about.
Kareem seemed shocked, and he tried to tell Joseph that he hadn't said those things, but by that time, it was falling on deaf ears.
Kareem denied any knowledge of the threats, but the argument still increased and it still got heated.
LaShundra says Joseph and her brothers grabbed Kareem and dragged him over to a vacant lot where they'd have more privacy.
The situation escalates, and Joseph and his brothers begin beating on Kareem.
According to LaShundra, she tries to get Joseph to stop. She yells, but there's no way she can stop him. And so she's just witnessing what's happening, the beating.
They stripped him naked. They beat him uncontrollably. They even urinated on him and burned his genitals with a lighter.
They kicked him in his head several times. They stumped him, kicked him in his chest. They beat him with a branch that was about 3 feet long, 1.25 inches thick.
Kareem was begging for help. He was asking for mercy. He was trying to tell them that they had it all wrong. He just wanted the suffering to stop.
He's pleading for his life.
The devil was in them to kill and destroy. They didn't care.
Eventually, Kareem stopped moving.
So after the beating, the brothers and Joe knew that they needed to put the body somewhere else.
Joseph instructed Henri to go get his truck and for LaShundra to follow behind them in her car.
He wanted LaShundra to be the lookout on their way to dump the body.
LaShundra admits that once again, she did as she was told. She felt like she had to trust her man in that moment.
They threw him in the back of the truck like it was a piece of meat.
They proceed to drive to Columbia Elementary School, where they dump his body into the wooded area.
But before they leave, to their surprise, Kareem starts to move.
He was still alive. He was moaning. He was crying out. He was very much alive when they dumped him and abandoned him.
So I think the most heart-wrenching part of the story is that Kareem wasn't dead yet. The coroner said that they believed that had Kareem gotten help from the hospital or any medical help, that he would have survived.
They could have dropped him off in the hospital or had somebody else or, put him in a place where someone could see him to help him. But instead, they left him in the woods where nobody would know that he was there, and they let him die.
To investigators, LaShundra, Joseph, Desmond, and Henri are equally culpable in this horrendous crime.
They all took part in what happened to Kareem. It was truly unfathomable what they did to Kareem Cowan.
They were each indicted for malice murder, which is intentionally causing the death of another with malice aforethought, planning to kill. Malice murder is the highest form of murder in Georgia.
When police apprehend Desmond and Henri Carr, they give a similar account as their sister.
Essentially, they admit to their involvement. They tell police that the plan was to rough Kareem up a bit, to intimidate him, but it was never to kill him.
No one ever admitted that they themselves meant to kill him. Every one of them said that the beatdown grew on itself.
Like LaShundra and Joseph, Desmond and Henri were also charged with malice murder for their part in the crime.
Attorneys for all four defendants encourage them to plead guilty and avoid a lengthy trial.
Considering the brutality of this homicide and the mountain of evidence, if they go to trial, they'd almost certainly risk receiving a harsh sentence.
Those lawyers knew, and I knew, that if any of these guys went to trial, they were going to get consecutive life sentences.
If they plead guilty, they'll be sentenced to life in prison, but could be eligible for parole after 14 years.
Joseph, Desmond, and Henri follow the advice of their attorneys and plead guilty. But LaShundra throws her attorneys for a loop.
She decides that she's not going to plead guilty and that she's going to fight this LaShondra decides to go to trial.
It seems like from the descriptions that people were offering that were involved in the incident, that the intent was not at first to kill him, but rather to humiliate him. But, one of the things that you see is that, there is a kind of a groupthink kind of process that takes place. People get involved in something, they lose sense of their own individuality. And when you lose sense of your individuality and start following along with what the rest of the group is doing, you also lose your sense of morality.
In August of 2003, DeKalb County investigators have charged Joseph Rayford, his fiancée LaShondra Carr, and LaShondra's two brothers, Desmond and Henri, with malice murder.
The group beat and tortured their neighbor, 20-year-old Kareem Cowan, to death.
I'd prosecuted cases for 25 years. I'd never seen anything that brutally inflicted on one person that suffered for that period of time.
Joseph, Desmond, and Henri have all pled guilty, but prosecutors are shocked when LaShondra decides to take her chances at trial.
Stakes are really high for LaShondra right now. She has small children. She's pregnant with twins, and now she's facing murder charges. She went head on, and she went all in.
She wanted a trial, and we were going to give her one.
As prosecutors prepare for trial, LaShondra gives birth.
Since LaShondra was in jail awaiting trial and Joseph was already in prison, LaShondra's mother took custody of the newborn twins.
And when LaShondra's trial begins on July 12, 2004, prosecutors don't go easy on the young mother.
We proceeded under a party to a crime theory. So if you don't directly commit the crime, but if you help in any way, then any role you play in helping during the crime, you're a party to it, and you're as guilty of the crime as any of the other active participants.
But when it's her turn to take the stand, LaShondra stands by her claim that she was only a bystander to the atrocities of the night.
Her defense team says that because she did not lay a hand on Kareem, it was her fiancé Joseph and her two brothers who committed the crime, then she should not be held responsible.
She maintains that she did not want this to happen, that she was only there, as a witness.
But despite LaShondra's assertions, the gruesome details of this case aren't lost on the jury.
The jurors were aghast at the facts. There was jurors, you could just see the reaction on their faces when they were hearing the details of Kareem's body being found, that he laid there in the tree line for several days, and who knows how long he suffered.
There were plenty of opportunities for LaShondra to stop the torture, stop the beating. She could have dialed 911. She could have run for help. But instead, she chose to do absolutely nothing.
After the jury retires to deliberate, they quickly return with their verdict.
The jurors didn't take very long, a few hours.
They came back with a guilty verdict, and LaShondra was sentenced to life in prison plus 10 years.
That wasn't as severe as I frankly expected, but I think it's because several of the witnesses and in her own statement that she had never touched the body, she had never participated in the beating itself. I think the judge felt that was fair.
The judge tells LaShondra that she played a part in one of the most reprehensible, brutal, and disgusting crimes that he had seen in his 16 years of being a judge.
I don't think she cried or anything. I don't think she had no remorse whatsoever. That's the feeling that I got from her. And I don't even think she told the family she was sorry.
Kareem's death has left a void in his community that can never be filled.
Kareem was right at the beginning of his adulthood, and he was already moving on a trajectory to be someone great. We'll never get to see who that is or experience who that is, and his family won't either. And that That is so unfortunate.
The Cowans, they was distraught from what happened to their child. It was heartbreaking, and we just wanted to be there for them. We wanted to support them, and we gave them our word we would be there with them from the beginning to the end. And that's what we did.
Ironically, LaShundra Carr's efforts to preserve her relationship with her man and the family they'd built together has ended up separating them forever.
She did what she thought was necessary to protect her fiancé and her nuclear family. It just didn't work out for her.
It was a turning point for her to have met Joseph and to get in a relationship with him. It was a turning point for her to decide to have children with him. You know, there are all these little decisions that at the moment you don't think of as setting the course for the rest of your life. But when you accumulate them over time and then you look at the event happening, it feels like it was almost inevitable.
Joe, he was just a young thug waiting to go to prison. That's all I see him as.
That type of blind trust really comes from a naive place of being in love. One thing led to another, and before she knew it, her life was changed forever.
Much like love, when rage spirals out.
Thôi bỏ cái đấy luôn đi cả ra đi đây. Này Sóc ơi, Chip ơi, ăn đồ ăn đấy. Không phải cái nước lênh láng ở đấy đâu. Này, nước nó đổ đấy là nấm mặt trơn ngã.
Này, muốn đưa một cái roi giờ.
Đánh hoàn đấy. Đừng nước này đấy. Cho con xin cái đi đuổi vậy. Thôi, cái này để con tí thắp hương nữa cái này. Hả? Hả? Cái gì? Mẹ bảo rồi. Anh đố chị. Cái này ăn hết. Được cái sao? Ăn hết. Tí cơm. Đây là đứa con này ở sao to thế? Sau đây là xin nó rất là để hôm qua đấy cho đến tối ăn cơm mày nhớ chiều của mày nhớ chiều của
Nhìn nào. Sao còn đau đấy, cái đấy cứa mạnh là đau đấy.
Cắt tay.
Thôi. Ra cứa con à.
Mày biết tại sao mình đi ra đây cho mày biết. Đây, anh không cứa, anh không đánh. Đi. Đây là mày nhìn anh. Đây là cách để chị nào. Mày thử đi cu. Dí tay vào cái cửa này này.
À, sau cái tầng hãy mang cái tranh nhỉ?
À?
Ở đây là ngay cái kênh tranh này. Cái này
hả? Thôi ụ lên cái thằng sao? Đấy trông nó cả đầy đặn như thế.
Được không?
Đấy cái cây xanh trong cái chum đó. Đấy.
Nhìn được em không được không?
Đây cái mà, trên mà, thẳng mặt đấy, đấy. Hai mấy cái lá già già đấy. Mày đã nó thấm hơn ấy. Bây giờ biết ngay, ai bảo chúng mày nghịch nước. Của đôi anh ngon này. Đây này, đổ ngập nước ở đây thì chấm vào phải không? Trên đôi mặt khớp này. Đã hỏng rồi, cái tim này hỏng. Nghịch nước, ngay nghịch biển vừa đấy. Đây con này.
Bảo em bây giờ thì bảo bà em bê chứ. Còn nước bê không về.
Nay chủ nhật thì 5 giờ về.
Không để xuống nó cho cái đĩa nào mấy ông đi trong điện. Lấy thích ăn mình cất đi.
Cứ để mình ăn thôi. Tớ ăn đi.
Ừ.
Để cái đĩa gì kia.
Cắt rồi.
Đấy đâu không? Sáng cái này con bảo phải cầm lên nhà ngoại ngoài quên đi, bắn ra nước đi.
Bảo lên dưới trời.
Đi thôi, xuống lên.
Kéo tay xếp nhỉ. Còn nữa không? Thêm gọi. Xong rồi đấy, gà xong rồi đấy.
Không phải qua lá cảnh đâu bạn, cắt thường thôi. Vậy